Hello everybody. It's been a couple of days I could not upload the video due to the abnormal circumstances as the place where I was had no internet connection, and even if I made the video I could not upload it. So it's basically disruption in my consistency. So anyways, it will be my 16th video, and today we'll be discussing about um, debate or argument. I would say argument. And when it comes to argument, many times in my experience I had always tend to avoid such um, circumstances where I could anticipate the forthcoming of disagreement between the person with whom I'm in conversation, or any place where I am involved, and which seemed to me that the following conversation is going to be intense, I would tend to avoid it. However, as I as the after as the passes of time, I could realize and that the most valuable outcome could be anticipated from such intense argument. However, you even get to understand the other side of the story as well, as when we had when we had a discussion with the person who agrees about our ideas. It's only it's only it's only the loop where we are exchanging the ideas, right? There's no new ideas, no new perspective. However, when you are in a new person with a different idea or different perspective, you get to understand his side. It's not. However, you might be humiliated. You may lose the conversation, or this the ideas that you present on the table could be wrong, but it certainly it certainly gives you something more, since we have to grow. And when you have such mindset, that means that is good for you. And I think it's not about such mindset, it's about keeping that mindset is the key for success. We need to have we need, or we must have a mindset that that will that will help us in our progress, right? And to have that in our life, we should accept the humiliation, or disagreement, or being wrong. So I had been always a guy who would avoid such circumstances. In my school days, I had friends who would often argue with me about certain things. They would say we have to do this. However, in my mind, I would have different plans, and instead of presenting my ideas on the table, I would just listen to them, just to avoid the quarrel or disagreement. And since it could have it could have interesting, and it could have let me know more about the things, or it could have um, increased my experience if I had into such conversation or disagreement. um, however, I always avoided such circumstances, even with my best friend, even with my seniors. However, that's a different case that you cannot argue with the seniors, and we have to be very careful about it. You cannot disappoint, or you cannot make look dumpy to your elders or to your seniors, because it it will eventually hurt their ego. So argument, why it's necessary, it's also often said that if you are not talking, or if you are not representing your ideas with any person, that might lead to the fighting. I mean, uh, the physical interaction. That's why it's necessary to argue, to interact. Since when we don't talk about certain things happening with ourselves, and we keep on accumulating the things that are frustrating, or things that we don't like, and if we don't express it, if you don't have a talk about the particular thing with a particular person, and if it goes on, then at certain point it will reach the pinnacle where you cannot resist, and it will eventually burst out of you, and you will be so much frustrated, and it will lead to physical fighting. It's also relevant in case of your relationship with your wife. If you don't talk with her about the certain things you don't like that she has been doing, then suppose every time she says, you are watching her, but you are not telling her, you want her to, you want her to know by herself, or you want her to introspect herself about the things that you doesn't like. But you have to understand, many times in life people fail to understand or fail to see the perspective unless you tell them. So if you avoid, or if you rather choose not to tell about the problems that you are having, then at one point you will be physically violent. I'm telling you, this is true. I've seen in my case as well. Now, since we talk about we talk about the experience I've seen in my elder brother relationship with my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law would have, since they were married at a very young age, and they didn't have much experience about life or relationship, marriage or child. It was all new for them, and there was no one, and there's no one to guide them how to be. However, since in my community, it's the parents, our parents, they were, um, I would say more like, since I more like a primitive, since I have expressed in my previous video that they never had or never been to a traditional school. So it was tough for them, and my brother was, I mean, is such a person that he wouldn't express the problem. He would just see the things, and he would tell his mother about problems, but I don't know what's the problem, but he would never talk to his wife that this is not bad. Suppose uh, his wife would hang out with her friends. um, Sometimes she comes late. However, I have to make my point here that she is not doing anything, anything immoral that would uh, that would affect their marriage or relationship. The only problem was some certain things my brother doesn't like, and thing that doesn't like was often, I mean, my sister-in-law would do. So he wouldn't say, he would, when they are together, okay, when we all are together, they won't discuss about the thing. And even it, I have now, how do I know about this? So after happening all this thing, they had a very serious, I would say, serious fight, I would say physical fight, where my brother had um, used her hands, or I mean like physical, they got physical, where uh, physical, and of course my brother, the man, he is more stronger, so he had a he overpower her. However, it's all because, since also have to mention here that my brother is a very sensitive guy, and he is not rough as other men who would beat or who would abuse her wife. But due to this gap created between the wife and the husband has led to this. And now, coming back to the point where how do I know about this thing, is that I, after all this happened, I talked to my sister-in-law about these things, and she would say that even if we wanted to talk, my brother would avoid talking about the things, and his things, since I think there's also a different side of the story, where he had a male ego, where woman would do, the woman would would hang out without informing him, and being led. Then it was like, oh come on, this woman is doing like this, then why would I give importance to her? I would have rather be in uh, others company, and ignore her. However, that wasn't the best idea, and many times in life I have seen such cases where men will treat women as a commodity, where they would say, oh, this is a woman, we can get tons of other a woman, and you don't have to bother. If she want to be free, let's set her free. But that doesn't work, right? So it happened, and we had talked to them, and I had talked to her, and she explained it to me. And later, I don't know when it happened, but I think um, they had a conversation, and they had disagreements. However, they talked to each other, I think, and it eventually got better, and now they are doing better. They had they had a good life. I mean, they have a good life now. Both of them are in a good bonded relationship now. So it's important to have an argument, especially we most of the time we avoid to have a argument, a debate with our friend is the, the sense of losing, you know, to our friend. We cannot accept the sense of humiliation from the friend, as we never assumed or never want to be superior, or not superior, let's say inferior, looked inferior to our friends. Because I, as a teenager or adolescent, when I was growing, I see my friend as my level, and I never wanted to be inferior to them. However, as I as I said, there are circumstances where it's better to avoid such arguments. So when to avoid is the point, right? You should avoid the conversation where the person is full or dumb, who only cares about his ego, or he who only cares about his status, the superiority he wants to show to the people, or to you, that he wants to suppress you. He knows, he acts like he knows better than you, rather than actually discussing about, rather than actually having the mindset where he wants to learn from you, right? If he has such mindset, then it's better to be in conversation. Otherwise, avoid it. And I'm trying, and from my point, I'm trying to do it. I try to be in a productive conversation. And often, if I get a sense of, uh, if I know a person is talking rubbish, I would avoid it. And if the person knows more, then I would I would talk to him more. However, it's tough for me. Sometimes I feel like I don't want to disappoint them, but I think that's the things I need to work upon it, and I'm trying to do. So thank you.